Hello everyone, my name is Valerians and welcome back to the channel. Right, so due to the ongoing situation that's been going on, and due to seeing 2020 has been such a fantastic year for everyone all around, I decided it would be quite my, well, I just thought it'd be fun if I would start to review films, and I talked about it on this channel. Plus, I figured that if you do were to stumble upon this channel, and you might be hella bored, you might be able to view some of the movies that I'm going to be reviewing over these past days or maybe weeks, and you might be interested in watching them. So I figure what better way to start a movie review marathon than reviewing one of the most, if not famous, called, I wouldn't say called classic, but more of a hit, actually. Man, I just forgot. This movie was actually a big hit. But due to the successors that came after this movie, it's not really the best of the best franchise. But it started out head out strong, which is Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park. So, what am I there to talk about? What is there to talk about? I mean, like, this film has already been done ages ago, and then every other famous reviewer has probably already talked about it to death. I'm not going to be providing any new materials, right? Because everything has already been said. Well, yeah, but I mean, it's still fun to talk about it because nobody's talking about it right now. Because why not? Plus, I mean, like, it's nice to see a movie get recognition time and time again because they actually genuinely deserve it. So why not talk about it here and now? Anyways, where was I off to? Right, the movie Jurassic Park. So, the general description is that this rich guy who owns a dinosaur park decides to hire people and decides to, make them come to his island full of dinosaurs to make them think that it's already legal and that it's already perfectly safe for a theme park to be hosting dinosaurs. Obviously, if you ever heard of the series Jurassic Park, you definitely know that those two ideas are not something that you should be putting together because the combinations of those two things would result in a very chaos theory centric, um, um, disaster. Lots and lots of yeah, you get the point. Anyways, the main focus of the story is that sure, there's dinosaurs and they are pretty, and the fact that these dinosaurs, while looking pretty, can also eat you and kill you and will probably destroy you if they were to actually exist. And well, honestly, there's nothing that changes much. The CGI still quite holds up to this day, even at today's standards. People still think back about how this film innovated and how this film changed the way how CGI should be used on films, and practical effects should also be considered. And it's true. This film was a game changer in that remark. People were always talking about how they look so real and lifelike, and that's because that it knew when it was time to use animatronics, when it was time to use real life actual props, and when it was ready to let loose with the CGI. Some things that some filmmakers unfortunately don't get the lesson of, which is why we see an over-reliance and overabundance of CGI on movies today. It's quite sad actually because I wish that we were to go back to a time where we could actually see realistic props and realistic designs, because as much as I adore computer generated images, there's something about real life props and real life animatronics that makes it just seem a tad bit realistic, maybe because they're actually filmed on the camera instead of just being added post-production. Anyways, the fact of the matter is, it's not just the film's effects that holds up, because for me, I think the writing was pretty good. And the fact of the matter is, Steven Spielberg was quite liberal in how he decided to import the themes and the story from the novel, with so many changes that perhaps the diehard fans of the novel wouldn't like this movie, or they would, but they would notice that there has been some major changes towards what happens to the fate of these characters. Some characters don't even exist. The characters that have existed in the book don't even show up in the movie. So Spielberg decided that perhaps that maybe adapting everything, converting quite a big book into a film wouldn't be the best idea. So he decided to trim off some stuff, and I think it works well because with that we get to focus mainly on the characters that are actually important, from Dr. Grant to Ellie Sattler to obviously Ian Malcolm, the Chaos Theory guy, who's probably totally was a fan favorite of mine when I was a kid. And it just goes to show that how many people still remember, how many people still quote lines from Jurassic Park up to this day. Some people still remember fondly about that Brachiosaurus scene where they finally first saw a dinosaur for the first time. And it goes to show how much the writing and how memorable the scenes and the characters are. That aside, I also think that the side characters are pretty good. The children are nice. Obviously, Hammond is a charismatic figure, and of course you would come to his park full of dangerous dinosaurs if he was the one that asked you. And like, he's such a nice and swell guy, and like everybody just stepped up their A game. Even Samuel L. Jackson, who I literally just remembered that he was a part of this movie when he first showed up, was a quite charismatic and quite a energetic surprise with his usual tone, bringing his A game. But it's not just that, really. There's something about it. I don't know what to say. It's the fact that Jurassic Park just makes you wonder. It makes you imagine about all the things that happen, all the things that could possibly be due to genetics and science, and everybody knows that the inaccuracies of this film when it comes to science are like second to none. But this film defined probably the childhood dreams and fantasies of many children when it was released, mine included. And I gotta say that I'm just basically talking about this here because I love the film, and I don't really have much anything to say besides that. Well, flaws. I gotta be realistic with you. There's always flaws in a movie. Sure, sometimes the scenes can be a little bit too slow paced when the humans are around, but they're written in a at best interesting, and at worst not really that interesting to begin with. But you always know that when the dinosaurs do show up, it's worth all your time and your money. Secondly, perhaps maybe some characters like the Ned guy. I mean, like, he's alright with the purpose that he's been given in the movie, but you know, like, it's not really that. I don't know. There's something about him that just makes me like think like you really don't belong in this type of movie where everybody else is like a trying to portray as like a realistic, nuanced version of oneself. He's just this guilty guy who's just running around, and somehow he's the only guy who manages to be the head of security, which is one big giant plot convenience, if I were to say so myself. Lots of leap of fates have to happen for this movie to work. Lots of inconsistencies too, with the T-Rex pen suddenly becoming a chasm out of nowhere. That still bugs me even today when I watch it. But in the end, you can't discount it from being a movie that is unique, breathtaking, and memorable at the same time. So in the end, I would actually, if I were to give a score out of a 1 out of 10, I would, 1, highly recommend this. 2, I'll probably give it like a 9, because I feel like this is one of those movies that you should watch. 1, because it's actually an enjoyable movie. 2, it should be as a landmark about how at the time this was the A game. This was like the highest pinnacle achievement of movie effects. And if I'm not wrong, it won an Oscar for it, so hey, pretty swell. I think that concludes my review slash babbling about this movie. I feel like if you have any suggestions, if there are any suggestions, please leave a comment, and I would actually be really interested to hear and actually do them, because one, the situation right now is quite boring and there's not much to do. Two, I would love to be interacting with people from the outside, which is actually quite nice. Anyways, this outro is done and overly long, so I'm just gonna say tune in next time, and I hope I would be able to continue this with its successor, The Lost World, Jurassic Park. So with that out of the way, I bid you farewell. Mine is Valerians, and thank you and goodbye.